rise. Please lever. Please be seated. We will just swap.
Thank you very much. Witness, welcome back. We're in open session. Mr. Garcia, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. When we left off, Mr. Witness, I was asking you about these 300 youth that you had seen in a lorry. Could you tell us of what ethnicity they were?
I believe because it was coming from directions of E10, then it must be Kalenjin.
Were these youths armed or not?
Yes, they were armed. They were having Harris.
Just for the record, did you say that they were having arrows?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there anything else that you could observe that they had as weapons?
Machete.
Now, when you observed this lorry with the 300 youths, what distance were you from this lorry at that time, approximately?
Because there was just along the road that the lorry was by the road, right? So it's almost the same area.
I understand that it was on the road itself, but what distance were you from this lorry?
Because I was inside the car, it's like 2 meters or 3.
And just so it could be clear as well, I understand that you were in a public car at this time. Was your public car, was it stationary or was it moving when you saw this lorry?
Yes, it was already stopped by youths. So we were supposed to go ahead, but stopping to chat with those who blockade the roads again at that side.
Now, can you tell us from your observations what happened when this lorry came with the 300 youth? Did you see anything?
They were talking that in a Kalenjin language, that which direction are we supposed to go, just among themselves.
Anything else that you heard?
We didn't stay long there, but they were just talking freely and facing the direction of Yaga.
Now, I understand that when you saw them initially, they were on the lorry. Did they stay on the lorry?
No, some of them were already in the ground. Not all were. Some few are still in the lorry.
Now, did you have a chance to see where the lorry went after?
No. But it was turned the direction of the same area it was coming.
Now, in regards to this lorry where the 300 youths were on, was there anything identifying about it? Anything that you can identify it by?
To identify what?
Did it have any markings or anything? Name?
The lorry.
Mr. President, I would ask, the normal question, of course, is to ask a witness to describe the lorry rather than point him in such a direct manner.
Your Honors, I do recognize that it is leading, but I'm trying to get an answer to a specific question.
Yes.
And
the question is allowed. Proceed.
Mr. Witness, were there any markings, any way of identifying this lorry?
The site which was supposed to be put at address was put a paper to seal the number and even the address.
Now you said the site which was supposed to put an address, where is that normally? Where would you find that normally on this lorry? Where the address of it?
At the door of the driver.
And what could you see on the door of the driver on that particular day?
It was sealed, something with a paper, and the number plate was also closed.
When you say the number plate was also closed, can you describe exactly what
It
you
was
could
put
see?
a paper. Okay.
Just remember the 5-second rule, Mr. Witness.
So it's use a paper to close it. I think sellotape or something else.
Okay, so use the paper to close it. What do you mean by closing it?
To seal the number plate.
As in cover it.
Cover it.
Thank you for those clarifications, Mr. Witness. Now, I understand that you were proceeding towards Ziwa. What road did you take afterwards to go to Ziwa?
The same road, it turned Eldoret Road to this place called Junction, and then we took Siwa Road.
What, if anything, did you see on Ziwa Road?
You see another lorry coming from that direction, carrying youths again.
When you say you saw another lorry coming from that direction, what direction are you speaking about? And remember the 5 seconds.
Directions of Siwa Road.
And Ziwa Road leads to where? What town or what village?
It leads to Siwa to Kitale. Again, yeah.
All right, just so we can be clear, it leads to Ziwa and then to Kitale, or is it?
Yes.
All right. You say you saw another lorry. Can you
Yes.
describe to us this lorry that you saw on the Ziwa Road?
This was also a long trailer lorry, which was carrying news, and it was going the direction of Eldoret.
Now, long trailer lorry. Can you describe to us exactly what kind of a lorry it was?
It's a very long lorry, which was supposed to almost the same as the other one.
And what is this, normally what is this type of, if you know, what is this type of lorry usually transport?
Just to transport goods.
Now you said that you saw youths. How many youths, approximately?
I cannot guess, but maybe a lorry that maybe can be also 300 or 200 and something.
And can you tell us if these youths were carrying anything with them?
Yes, I saw from behind after we passed over, but I could not see because they were inside the lorry.
Just to make sure, before I ask you more questions, did you cross them on the same road, the Ziwa Road?
Yes.
Is that it? And were you able to observe inside?
Yes, you can see from behind some youths having some bow and arrows.
Were you able to observe how they were dressed?
No.
Now, had you ever seen this lorry before?
That one,
There are two questions there. Can you clarify the question, Mr. Garcia?
Mr. Witness, were there any marks of identification on this lorry that you saw?
this one, there was at the top of the lorry there was some mafuta farm.
So you say at the top of the lorry.
Yes.
What was the inscription at the top of the lorry?
It was written in a plaque, Kala Mafuta Farm.
Now you say that it was written in a plaque. Is there
Yes.
any particular color? Can you describe the plaque?
Black.
Did he say plaque or black
Black.
color?
Black. Black color.
Black color?
Yes.
As in the color?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
As opposed to white, something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. I thought I had heard plaque. Thank you, Mr. Witness. Now, Mr. Witness, had you ever seen a lorry prior to that with a black inscription saying Mafuta Farm prior to that day?
I know the lorries of prominent farmer, Mr. Jackson Gabor, is written that way.
So just for the record, line 23 is, I know the lorries of prominent farmer Mr. Jackson Kibor is written that way. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
What is written that
Yes,
way?
Mafuta Farm.
So just to be clear on the record, what is written that way on Mr. Kibor's lorries?
Is written Mafuta Farm. And some also like Samito, I don't know. Yeah, like that.
I'm sorry, your last answer wasn't captured. It is written Mafuta Farm and some also like...
They have also like written Samito, but I cannot describe that word which was written in which side. But Samito is also part of his property. Yeah.
Okay, and just for the record, it's also written Sammy, S-A-M-M-Y, is that it?
Samito is S-A-M-I-T-U-I.
Okay, and just to be clear for the record, on that particular day you just saw the inscription Mafuta Farm.
Yes.
In black. Now, Mr. Witness, did you eventually arrive at the fundraising event in Ziwa?
Yes, but yeah.
Do you remember at approximately what time you arrived there?
It was afternoon hours, like after 3.
And where was the fundraising being held in Ziwa? Was there a precise location?
It is in the market area.
Does the market area have a specific name? I understand that it's Ziwa, but is there a specific name for the market area?
Siwa Sirikwa.
And Sirikwa would be Sirikwa. Is that correct?
Yes.
So when you arrived there, and did you go to the marketplace?
I stay in a cafe.
Witness, I'm not going to ask you questions in regards to that specifically, but can you tell us who was present at this fundraiser when you arrived?
Mr. President, I'd ask my friend not lead on this. We've got the witness in a cafe. Perhaps we can take it step by step.
Mr. Witness, who was present at the fundraiser when you arrived?
To describe,
Sorry, Mr. President, I do object. We have the witness at a marketplace, and we have him in a cafe. My learned friend should take it step by step.
Is it about step by step, or who was present? These are not the same thing.
Well, Mr. President,
Mr. Garcia should be free to organize his questioning as he sees the objective he wants to pursue in light of what he has with him. And it will be up to you, of course, to clarify things if you want to. So that's a separate matter from whether there was a leading question as to attendees, if any, at the location.
perhaps I wasn't clear. Of course, my learned friend can ask who's present in the cafe.
Mr. Garcia, you can sit while Mr. Khan is on his feet.
Maybe if it can help defense counsel.
No, 1 second. We don't want two people standing up at once in this courtroom.
I'm most grateful, Mr. President. I'll be brief. Your Honour, I don't have a problem with my learned friend asking questions, but at the moment we have him going to a marketplace in Ziwa, and he goes to a cafe. The question then should be, who's in the cafe? We haven't got him to a location. I know my learned friend is jumping the gun, putting him into the fundraising event itself, but as far as I can see, we have him in a cafe. Nowhere else, unless it's said that the fundraising event is in the cafe. And that's why I'm saying we're jumping.
That's not my understanding of that answer, not necessarily. So I believe that both of you can be accommodated in your objectives. Mr. Garcia?
Just want to remind defense counsel, Your Honor, and just in response to that, is that we are in public session, and I intend to continue in public session. If I canvass the questions that defense counsel wants, I'm going to have to go into private session. So I will broach them, obviously. This is not a problem.
Proceed.
Now, Mr. Witness, when you arrived there at the fundraising event at the market, who was present?
there was two notable figures.
Can you name these two notable people that were present?
One is Jackson Kibor,
And the other?
and the other one was the Membi who was just elected from Mount Elgon, Fred Kabondi.
And just for the record, the other one, and that's line 23, page 19, the other one was an MP from Mount Elgon, E-L-G-O-N, and it's Fred Kapondi, K-A-P-O-N-D-I. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you arrived there at the market in Ziwa Sirikwa, what were these two people doing, Mr. Kibor and Mr. Fred Kapandi?
To clarify what it just said about if I was in a cafe or...
Wait.
Just, Mr. Witness,
No. Just follow Mr. Garcia's questioning. If by the time he finishes and he has not addressed that thing you have in mind, we can then deal with it at that time. But for now, let's follow his lead.
So, Mr. Witness, what were Mr. Kibor and Mr. Fred Kapandi doing when you arrived there at the market in Ziwa Sirikwa?
I was just sitting in the place where the fundraiser was to take place.
And can you tell us approximately how many people were there already when you arrived at the marketplace?
I cannot approximately, but it's a marketplace. There were so many people there.
So what happened, Mr. Witness? I understand that you were there. What did you observe?
Because I was just a distant away, not far distant away from the place. I could only listen to and could see people talking, but I was not there in that group of the people. But I was a distant away.
Your Honors, can we go into private session for just a couple of minutes, clear up a matter?
Private session.
We are back in open session, Mr. President.
Mr. President, also at a certain point, we may want to make sure the spellings of some names are accurate on the record, but maybe that can be done in private or public. I don't know if it would. It seems to me it can be done in public, but certain names are not properly recorded in the transcript.
Indeed.
For example, page 96, line 5.
I thought I had said that. That's Mr. Fred Kapandi at 96.5. Now, Mr. Witness, what did you observe going on at this fundraising?
There were some talks before the fundraising, but the fundraising itself didn't take long. It was only less than 20 or so minutes before everything was over.
Now, you said that there were some talks. Who
Yes.
talked? Who spoke? Remember the 5 seconds, Mr. Witness.
There were some locals who were talking.
Did you recognize any of these locals who were speaking?
I could see Isaac Bayo.
Did you hear what Mr. Isaac Mayo said?
Because he was just like an organizer, he was just talking briefly and then give it to another speaker.
All right. I understand that you say that he was like an organizer. What do you mean by that?
He was like MC or leading the that function.
So what did you hear Mr. Mayo say?
He was thanking the people, especially the guests, for coming, and also saying that we are going to do these things, Harambe, and he was just brief like that, and then he gave the speakers to still continue talking.
Now you say that he was saying that we are going to do these things, Harambe. Can you explain a bit more what he was saying?
First of all, he started by saying that Kikuyus have still the forts, and we need to still fight for our right. And we are going to do Harambe, and he thanked the Fred for coming, and also Nsei Jackson. And then give another old man, I cannot remember his name, of which also he was also talking bitterly about raking and telling youths to be prepared and make sure that they go to the Eldoret to make sure that these Kikuyus will not be in our soil again.
Now you say that first of all he started by saying that the Kikuyu have still had, I imagine that you're saying that they'd had stolen the votes, is that it?
Yes.
And you say also that he thanked Fred. I imagine that you're speaking about Mr. Fred Kapandi.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Wait the 5 seconds. And you say, and also MC Jackson.
No, I didn't say MC. What is that?
Did you say
No.
Mzee
I'm sorry.
Jackson? What did you mentioned Jackson? Did you mention Jackson?
Yes, thanking also Jackson Kibor for coming.
Did you say MC or Mzee?
MC.
Mzee. Okay.
Your Honor. You say as well that he give another old man, I can't remember his name. What happened there?
The whole man was talking like telling youths to be prepared to go to Eldoret to make sure these Kikuyus are no more in our soil.
Now, just to be clear, Mr. Witness, is it, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Mr. Mayo who gave the
President, I object.
All right, I withdraw that.
Your Honour, I've said repeatedly, I don't know how many times I need to say it, that my learned friend should not lead on these issues. And Your Honour, I'm not speaking in vain, and I do ask, and I can have every expectation that Learned Prosecution Counsel, knowing the sensitivity, will act accordingly.
I was just trying to clear up this paragraph, Your Honor, but I can ask a more neutral question. It might take a little bit more time, that's all.
Yes. Yes.
It's fine.
If it's a sensitive area,
I do.
You need to take the time you need to tease it out. But I thought the witness had mentioned a last name, had put a last name to Mzee Jackson, did he not?
He did indicate Jackson Kibor, Your Honor.
Yes, I don't think I see it in the transcript.
And I know that the witness mentioned it. Indeed, it should follow on page 99, line 22. It was MZ Jackson Kibor.
I thought I heard that.
Mr. President, I can confirm that that was heard by the defence as well.
Thank you. Proceed.
I imagine that it will be in the edited transcript. Mr. Witness, just so we can be clear on this matter, as for Isaac Mayo, is that the extent of, is that what the extent of what you heard him say on that day?
Because he was just a person inviting people, he could not talk much, just shortly, and then give it to another speaker.
And Who did he give it to afterwards, after him? Who's...
There was also somebody else, the third person, who didn't talk much. And then the Jackson Kibor was the one to talk.
And this person that you mentioned, another old man, where did he fit in? When did he speak?
After Mayo speak, shortly, that votes have been stolen, just talk and then say, okay, he gave it back to the old man, of which the old man just talked briefly in a Kalenjin, and making people to be ready to go to Eldoret to remove the Kikuyus from our soil.
I just want to clear up something with you, Mr. Witness. When you say you can't remember his name, but he was also talking bitterly about rigging and telling youth to be prepared and make sure that they go to Eldoret to make sure that these Kikuyu will not be on our soil again. Who said this? Who was the person who said this?
The old man.
Now, the older man, had you ever seen him previous to that?
Yes.
Where had you seen him before?
In Eldoret, see what the same area.
And he was a person of what ethnicity?
Nandi.
Is there anything else you know about this old man that spoke, that said these things?
I know him as a politician and also an older man who can talk on several meetings.
Now, after this old man spoke, what happened? Did anyone else speak?
Or somebody else, but I can't remember. But he didn't talk much.
All right. You mentioned in your response at page 102, line 8, 9. Then there was also somebody else. That person who didn't talk much. And then the Jackson Kabor was the one who talked. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, were you there or not when Mr. Jackson Kabor spoke?
I was still in the same position. I was never. These things take place only less than 20 minutes or 20 minutes.
Now, were you able to hear what Mr. Jackson Kabor said?
Yes.
Can you tell us what he said?
He was saying that Kikuyus, referring as Kowek, have steal our votes, and him is a old man. He doesn't want to do anything, but he will help in contributing where necessary to help you to acquire things. That is, he referred to things, but which I don't know which kind of things, but he was talking that way. That he is a old man, he cannot go to the world, but he can help some other places to get things for youth. But he didn't quote anything to do with something.
Did he say anything else?
Yes, he was saying that the Kikuyu should be removed from the Rift Valley or our soil. This is the time we have to use.
Was that it, or was there anything else that he said?
That's what I can remember.
Now, at the start of your response, you said he was saying that Kikuyus, referring as, steal our votes. What is the word that you use there? Referring as what?
Awake.
Can you spell that word for us, the word that you just used?
K-O, K-O, and then E-K.
So K-O-E-K. Is that it?
K-O, K-O-E-K.
And that's a word in what language?
Challenging.
And what does it mean?
Kikuyus.
Now, literally, does it mean anything else, this word? Or
No,
does
it's Kikuyu in Kalenjin.
He said that he would help youth to acquire things. He referred to things. Now, in your mind, what did he mean by these things?
Because he was saying that he cannot participate in the war, but he can contribute, he can help you to get things, which I can say things are, because he was talking in a Kalenjin, things like tubuk, so that is to say that weapons or something else to help youths. But he didn't say weapons or say things.
And how did the...
What word did he say was used in Kalenjin? Did you say a specific word was used? Tugu?
Yes.
How do you spell that?
T-U-D-U-G-U-K.
T-U-G-U-K? Is it D-O-T?
T.
T.
For town, yeah.
For town.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that would be T-U-G-U-K. Right. And you say it means what?
Things.
Things.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Witness, how did the crowd react to what Mr. Kibor was saying?
They were clapping and supporting the talk.
And Mr. Kibor was speaking in what language?
And
Now, what happened after Mr. Kibor spoke?
then Honorable Kapondi.
Now, do you recall what Mr. Kapandi said?
We were saying that you people from this side, that is was an issue, should remove Kikuyus. While I was just saying it was just come from prison, and I was elected when I was prison. And they say people from, I'm going to help to remove the lawyers in Transoya.
So just at page 106, line 16, I think it's been put, it's Transoya, that's correct. Did he say anything else?
Yes, he was saying that these Kikuyus have messed up the country. And him and Kibor will go and bring things, which I don't know which things is this.
Did he say anything else?
That's what I can remember.
Now, you mentioned briefly that Mr. Kapandi spoke about prison or being in prison. Can you just briefly explain to us what that was about?
in the previous days, a few days before, he was in prison, I think, because of violence which was took place in Mount Elgon, and he was in prison for some time, but he was just released, and he was even elected while he was in prison to be represent ODM as a member of parliament, and not, during the nomination time.
Now, Mr. Witness, if you can just help us, Mount Elgon, said he was an MP for Mount Elgon. Where is that exactly? It's bordering what state?
It's bordering Uganda, and it is in western Kenya province.
Now, do you know where they were going to be getting these things, as they were calling them, from?
He was talking as if he knows, because you know what is going on in Mount Elgon, which is actually that is the place. Maybe he knows much. I cannot say where.
What is it that goes on in Mount Elgon that it's the place, as you say?
They always fight there. People are killing each other using the cans and many things here.
Now, do you know, Mr. Witness, where guns could be obtained from that region?
I will not know, but maybe from neighboring country Uganda, because it is that Mount Elgon is a forest. It's like forest. So anything can be sneaked through their side, but I cannot confirm where it exactly came from.
And what happened after Mr. Kapandi spoke? How did the crowd react to his comments?
They were jeering him most of the time, and immediately finished talking and then start Harambe directly.
Now, I understand that Harambe is a fundraising.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So was there any money that was eventually collected?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Kabondi was the chief guest. He was receiving money. He collected from the public and then finally received from Kibor. Kibor gave out 200,000 from Mheshimiwa Ruto.
So how much money in all was collected?
It was not announced, the figure, but... And then Kibor himself gave out 20,000. And Kabondi finally gave 10,000. And the rest were 5, or 6, 10, like that.
All right. So you said that Kapandi was the chief guest and he was receiving the money.
Mm-hmm.
He collected the money from the public.
Yes.
And then he received from Kibor. How much did he receive from Kibor?
20,000 from Kibor himself and 200 from Mheshimiwa Ruto.
Now, this 200... But it's 200,000. So 200,000 from Mheshimiwa Ruto. How do you know that this was from Mheshimiwa Ruto? Hold on. Wait a couple of seconds and explain that to us.
Kibor was giving out an envelope and say from Mheshimiwa Ruto.
And how do you know that there was 200,000 when...
He announced the figure.
What did Kibor say? Wait the 5 seconds. What did Kibor say, Mr. Kibor say in regards to this 200,000?
He said that Mheshimiwa has given us his hand and he's helping us in Nairobi the way you see. And he could not be, he was supposed to be the chief guest in the function, but he didn't come. That he has given his hand. That's what you call it directly when you talk in Kalenjin.
And what does that mean, he has given his hand? Remember the 5 seconds.
He has given his contribution.
And you say that finally Kapandi gave 10,000, just for the record, is that correct?
Yes.
And how did you know that he gave 10,000?
After receiving from Kipor, then Kipor also received from him, give it to Kipor 10,000. Say, this is what I have. And he say, you know, I've just come from prison. This is what I could contribute.
And what happened after that?
Then the Harambee was over.
What did you do after that, after the Harambee?
I stayed there a little bit and then I bought the car to Eldoret.
Did you have any problems going back to Eldoret?
Yes, there was a lot of youths going toward Eldoret and also some roadblocks, but it was easy when you are going back than when you are coming to that area.
You say there were a lot of youth going towards Eldoret.
Yes.
Can you explain to that a little bit further? What did you see?
There were some still small cars and tractors carrying youths towards the direction of Eldoret. Even if it was too late in the evening, but they are still going there at that particular moment.
At what time did you see this?
It was around 5 in the evening.
You said that there were still some small cars and tractors. About how many of these did you see going towards the direction of Eldoret? Remember the 5 seconds, Mr. Witness. Approximately. I know that you can't give us a precise figure.
I saw about 3. But the tractor, I don't know if it could reach Eldoret because it is far. About 50 kilometers.
And you say about 3. What type of vehicles were these vehicles that you saw?
Pickups.
And these pickups, can you tell us approximately how many people they were carrying?
Maybe 14, 15, like that.
And the youth that were on these pickups, were they armed?
Yes.
What did they have?
Bows and arrows.
Were you able to observe if they were dressed in any particular way?
Yeah? You say what?
Were you able to observe if they were dressed in any particular way? Wait for the 5 seconds.
Most of them were having shorts and short sleeve t-shirts.
Were you able to see their faces?
Yes.
Did you have any problems going through the roadblocks?
Not really. But before we reached Eldoret town, there was still burning of the tires in the roads. We could stay and then we remove and then go ahead.
Did you eventually reach Eldoret that evening?
Yes.
You described to us what you saw in Eldoret.
there was a lot of lorries who are carrying people, especially those who have been affected from their farms in rural areas, and even within the town, who have come to take refuge in town.
Now you're saying they were carrying people. These people were from what ethnicity?
Mainly Kikuyus.
You say you saw a lot of lorries. Approximately how many?
I saw one standing next to High Court of lorries, and I saw another two next to, not far from police station Eldoret, and I saw another one in a place called, in a building next to building called Kaifidia.
And do you know where these lorries were heading in Eldoret? Where were they heading to?
They could stay there. They don't know where to go, but later on they go to the showground. But that day I was just seeing them there.
Where did you go on that evening?
I went to police station, and then because around 8 in the evening.
Can you tell the court what you saw at the police station?
Hmm?
Are we speaking about the Eldoret police station? Yes. Can you tell the court what you saw at the police station, the Eldoret police station, on that evening?
There were so many Kikuyus there. Some of them having their belongings, and some of them were crying that they have been chased away from their farms.
Can you tell us approximately how many Kikuyus were there?
I cannot approximate, because it was so many Kikuyus actually, especially women and children.
I understand that before in your testimony you mentioned that the police station was a compound. Is that correct?
Yes, some of them were some in compound, some of them were along the road.
Now, did you have a chance to speak to anyone at the police station?
There's a guy whom I know, number 25.
What did he tell you?
He was complaining that, many people could call all Kalenjin Nandis. He was saying, Nandis have burned our houses. Nandi. We don't know where we are going.
And this person, he was of what ethnicity?
Kikuyu.
And he came from what area?
He always in town.
He said that he was always in town, but what area was his, where was he living at that time?
Area before Roma. Then after Oruma.
Just before we move on, Your Honors, I'd like to show the witness Ken OTP 0036 0095. That's at binder number 3, and it's tab 66, I believe. Wondering if that could be put on the screen in front of the witness. Okay.
Mr. Garcia, could you please confirm the level of confidentiality of the document, please?
That is a confidential document. It should not be shown outside of the courtroom, but just to the witness and to the people in the courtroom.
Mr. President, I object that the witness be shown this particular document. Your Honor, I've previously made objections that when something that's prepared out of the courtroom is sought to be tendered by a particular witness, the proper and better way of doing it is getting the witness to annotate any map in court. Your Honor, it's relevant to recollection, it's relevant to consistency and the veracity of an account. And Your Honor, we have something that was prepared out of the courtroom that can be used to compare with whatever is done in the courtroom. But there are dangers, in my respectful submission, about producing, quote-unquote, one that was prepared in the course of evidence under oath. So, Your Honor, I don't have an objection if my learned friend wishes to put a blank map and to annotate it. In fact, normally that's what happens. As one seeks to lead a witness through evidence, you get the witness to mark as it goes on, and at the end of the testimony, a completed map is prepared. But the way that it's been, and that is the basis of my objection.
Your Honor, actually for prior witnesses, we've done it in this same manner. I can say to the court that everything that is on this map, the witness has already testified on, actually. And that's purposefully why I did this at the end of all of his testimony regarding the incidents he went through, the roadblocks, and actually it's to help the court because it indicates the different locations, it indicates the locations where the witness was at initially, precise places, and I think it would be quite helpful for the court, and in my opinion, it will not lead the witness in any manner, as he's already testified on all of these items and already given clear evidence on the matter. So it's simply for the court. I think that could be a valuable tool for the court to understand the witness's testimony when looking at this map. And as I've stated at the start, we've done this previously with other witnesses. It's more efficient. It saves some time rather than having the witness do it once again here in court and taking up valuable time in which the witness could be testifying about other matters.
Your Honor, I'll say no more except we've had previous witnesses that the court will recollect where, for example, photographs have been shown. And when the witness was asked to mark those photographs in court, a very different picture emerged from that was prepared in the interview room with the investigators and the witness alone.
The Chamber's ruling is that Mr. Garcia may proceed with showing this document to the witness.
I'm grateful.
And then we will see to what extent the witness is unable to indicate having, should I say, authentic knowledge about information on the document. Proceed, Mr. Garcia.
I understand that the document is being shown to the witness.